What's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another segment of the Sports Arena. My name is Ruth the Truth, here filling in for Eric Wilson. We're just going to be discussing some things that are going on in the sports world right now because sports is back. I'm sure you guys are tuned into the WNBA, the NBA, the MLB, everything that's just going on right now that we all get to watch at one time. It's fantastic. Tonight on the board, I will be bringing Eric Wilson, the main producer of Sports Arena. Come on in, Eric.
What's up, Ruth? How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you.
I know. It's like the first time you and I have talked in quite some time. How are things going?
It's been a while. It's nice to have you back on the board.
Thanks.
Next, we have Michael Carotenuto out of Arizona. He is involved with the Believe in Pac-12 basketball. They're doing great things, so make sure you guys are checking out his podcast because he has things coming out left and right. Mike, how you doing?
Melting. It's about 114, 15 today, something like that.
Yeah, wow. Wicked Witch of the West over there. Have fun.
Let's be blessed that you don't have like 100% humidity because that's what me and Eric are suffering with over here in the Florida sunshine state.
I've been in 95-degree weather with 100% humidity, and at least I could stand outside and just sweat. But when it's 120, you can't stand outside.
Right, hot. Just like how these live sports are getting hot. We have the NBA playoffs just right around the corner. The WNBA is doing very successful in Bradenton in their bubble as well. But let's start with the NFL. Let's talk about some drama that has been going on in the NFL. My and Mike's favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys, our owner has broke the silence after 109 days. Okay, he's finally spoke up about the whole situation with the anthem and the flag. Now, a lot of people are saying that what he said definitely did not suffice. But, Mike, I want to take it to you first. How do you think Jerry Jones handled the situation after breaking his silence after 109 days?
Well, Jerry Jones did it his way, and we talked about this earlier. It's one of those things where he definitely it's not about saying something first. It's about getting the, I guess, temperature of his team. Now, he could have at least come out with something, and I think that's what obviously frustrated a lot of people. But that being said, it's one of those things where he's toting the line very well. He always says he supports his players. He cares about his players. They're his family. And I just think he will be softening some things and will support players, but we'll see what happens. But for him to come out, say something again, yes, for Jerry Jones, it was actually impressive for Jerry Jones, Eric, because he stayed in the middle of the road. Yeah, funny guy. He stayed in the middle of the road. It was very impressive for Jerry Jones, which is surprising. And he didn't put his foot in his mouth.
No, I understand where you're coming from. I feel like he didn't pick a specific side. He kind of just walked right down the middle. It's a very fine line. Eric, I want to get your take. You being a huge Eagles fan and being in our division, how do you think the Dallas Cowboys owner is owning up to the situation?
Oh, okay. I'm going to try and be as down the middle when it comes to Jerry Jones and what he said. So let me just go on record in saying this first and foremost. Anybody who knows the sports arena, anybody who knows me knows that I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. And if there's one team that I can't stand, it is the Dallas Cowboys. Now, with that being said, this issue is bigger than the rivalry that exists between those two teams. However, when you look at what he said, okay, Jerry Jones, to me, for the first time, I think, ever, across any media platform, was scripted. I think Jerry Jones could not be Jerry Jones as much as he wanted to be. I think he made the decision, he paid or had someone in his organization draw up a script for him so that he could speak in a way that was not very truth-telling. And I'm glad I have you two Cowboy fans on here because I need to say this to both of you. As you both know, I love and respect the two of you. But even the two of you have to admit that was not Jerry Jones. That what we heard today, what we read today, what we saw today was not Jerry Jones. That was the Jerry Jones that so many people have wanted him to be at times, and he has gone against the grain and said, no, I'm going to say what I want to say. The fact that he even tried to incorporate the whole, we are going to support what our players decide with regards to kneeling versus standing for the national anthem. Jerry, get the hell out my face with that BS. That's what I'm going to say right there. Because you were the guy, Mike, because you were the guy who said, Jerry Jones, anybody who doesn't stand for the national anthem is fired. So now you're going to go back on your word, Jerry? That's what you're going to do? You're going to go back on your word? Why now? And the fact that he still, to this day, has not picked a side. I don't care what side you're on, but pick one. You can't be neutral in this. You cannot be neutral. You're either one way or the other. And I don't give a damn what side you're on, Jerry, but stick to your guns.
Well, Eric, I totally understand your frustration and where you're coming from, because of a man of his power and of his stature, he should be putting his foot down and be leaning to more to one side, because he has such a following and a platform, and being an owner of a team, you rightfully have to stand up for what you believe in. Mike, I want to bring it back to you. So if the season comes and we see Dallas Cowboys taking a kneel for the national anthem, do you see there being negative repercussions following those from Jerry Jones?
To Eric's point, I think the one thing that whoever Jerry Jones, if he paid somebody, then staying right down the middle almost is the best thing, especially for a football owner. I'm not saying in general, Eric, for a football owner. Will there be repercussions, Ruth? I doubt it. Just because of the climate, what it's in. I mean, he's on the same page, even though they can get a contract on with his quarterback. And if guys want to do it, they're obviously talking about it as a group, which in and of itself is a good thing. But for Jerry Jones, look, anybody that goes on one side or the other, and even, okay, if you're on the right side and people know that they're on the right side, somebody on the other side can crush you. If you stay down the middle and say, look, I can respect your view, I can respect your view, I was wrong. Now, the words I was wrong is not coming out of Jerry Jones's mouth. We all know that. That being said, I don't really see it with this statement. Again, he supports his players. He's always, come on. I mean, he had the White House back in the day. They had to tear it down because of all the legal trouble that went there. So, he's all for his players. But I can't see that if players do kneel, because I'm sure there are going to be players that do. There's no way you're waiving all of them or cutting them, because it'll cost you too much money and people aren't going to come in and play for you. So from a business side, as sad as it is, from a business side, he knows that, again, there can't be I mean, if Dak Prescott kneels, is Dak Prescott getting released? No.
According to Jerry from back in the day, yep, he's gone. And guess what? Andy Dalton, you're up.
Yeah, no way. It wouldn't happen.
I'm glad that we brought up Dak Prescott, because that is another conversation that we need to have. Not only did Jerry Jones speak up about, speak against his silence when it comes to the national anthem and the flag, even though it didn't seem like he picked a side, so kind of just a lot of words coming out of his mouth, if you ask me. But we also have Dak Prescott, who has made a statement about the animosity that may be growing between him and the Cowboys organization. Now, in his speech, he sounded very sincere and made it seem like to the public eye that there is no drama between him and Jerry Jones and the organization. I want to know, Eric, do you believe it, or do you call BS?
This is one of the few times that I'm going to sit here and say this. I have to give Dak Prescott a pass on what this man is saying. And here is why. This man is going through a very, very difficult time in his life. Absolutely. Losing a family member, especially someone as a brother. He's full of mixed emotions right now. So I don't think Dak's mind is truly on the game of football, or is it on the game of getting paid? I think Dak's more concerned about his family rather than his money. So I'm going to take Dak at his word right now because of that, and because Dak has always been a stand-up guy.
Absolutely.
He's a guy who he was given an opportunity. He was a 4th-round draft pick, and he's gone in and he's done everything that has been asked of him with little to no money for an NFL quarterback. So I think right now, Dak's mind, Dak's heart isn't in it. He's like, I need to take care of my family first. He's going to do what he needs to do. But I still say this: get your money, Dak, and get the hell out of Dallas because they don't give a damn about you.
I'm glad that you mentioned that he needs to get out of Dallas because in his speech, he made it clear that if him and the organization can come to agreement that he sees himself being a Dallas Cowboys for the remainder of his career. Mike, do you see Dak Prescott leading us to many championships in the future?
Well, I mean, once he leads them to one, it'll be more than Carson Wentz has led anybody to.
There we go.
At least,
how many playoff wins does Wentz have? Anyway, it's a different conversation.
Right. But that being said,
how many Super Bowl championships does the Eagles have this millennia?
Anyway.
How many does Dallas have in the last 25 years?
That's fine. We still have more, and it still took you forever. But that being said, to Dak's point, to Dak, well, you're talking about the past with yours.
I'm talking about the past 5 years. You're talking about the past 25 years.
Yeah, either way, past is past.
Answer my question. Let's go.
Dak's of course he's going to say that because, look, Eric's saying get out of Dallas. Well, look, if he does get out of Dallas with the landscape, where could he end up? That's always the question. He's not going to get the same amount of money.
Okay.
He's going to get less money anyway. Again, I don't see anybody, if the Cowboys don't sign him. If you work with Mike McCarthy this year, and we can agree, the offense will look different. Mike McCarthy's not going to be clapping all game long for, oh, it worked, yay. That being said, you can't, if it doesn't work with Mike McCarthy, will he get paid somewhere, Eric? Maybe. But if things work out in New England with Cam Newton, you have Teddy Bridgewater down in Carolina, which we all know is a very solid quarterback. Tampa, I mean, are you going to go you're sitting behind Brady for a year? That could be a possibility in your neck of the woods. But I'll tell you right now, all those teams that drafted young quarterbacks, they're out. Dallas would be out. So look at the options. Again, unless Cleveland mails it in on Baker Mayfield, which I don't see happening. So, of course, he's going to say that. But until he, like Ruth says, wins in the playoffs, and we've talked about, have better than a 1-2 record, get to an NFC championship, get to a Super Bowl. I mean, look, Patrick Mahomes is the highest paid because what he's done in 2 years, and that's because, and I still say, you know how I feel, Eric, he sat behind Alex Smith, who Alex Smith did the exact same thing as Tom Brady, but Tom Brady's way up here. Yes, I understand the Patriots won Super Bowls, but I'm just saying, if you look at it for what they did in games, Alex Smith does the same thing, doesn't turn the ball over, but Tom Brady's so much better. If Dak Prescott gets to a Super Bowl, say they win it this year, say they were to win it, he'll be getting about 38, 39 million a year.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, Mike, because it all really depends on how this season goes. The better he plays, the better money I will see offered on the table for him. And I'm hoping that he could take the division just so we could shut Eric up.
Okay, wait, hold on. So both of you are just sitting here saying that Dak Prescott not only is going to win the NFC East, not going to happen, but I'll run with y'all for this. But you're both sitting here saying with how this year is being played, Dallas is not only going to win the division, but for your expectations, they're going to the NFC Championship game under a first year with Dallas head coach in Mike McCarthy, with a quarterback who still has not gotten the money that he has truly deserved, with a running back who can't keep his head in the game, and then you've got some overpriced wide receivers in Amari Cooper and Gallup. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is going to be CeeDee Lamb, and I hope him the best, but he's another guy that needs to get out of there.
Playoffs.
Amari Cooper, look, you don't like Amari Cooper, that's on you. Okay, he's still okay, you put him on your team better than he's a true number one on the Eagles. True number one. Yes, he is. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. I'm saying no. I'm not saying. Of course, I would like to see them get to the NFC Championship, but I told you guys earlier, it comes down to who's coming in for Travis Frederick, because you know Zach Martin is there. If Tyron Smith stays healthy, that's the best left tackle in the game. So. Oh, you are outside your mind. All
right, boys. Let's focus here.
An NFC Championship, that would be the first thing. It's a close game. They lose. If they win and go to the Super Bowl, and then if they don't win the Super Bowl, fine. But you're not gonna go into another negotiation thinking to get more than Patrick Mahomes if you don't at least get to that level. That's what I'm saying.
Mike, I'm going to give you these so you can actually see through a different perspective than your own blue-collared, blue and silver.
I don't need it. I'm telling you the truth. Look, I told you in the beginning Dak should have got paid.
Vision, Eric.
I told you Dak should have got paid. But then
I agree with you.
Right. But here's the thing. Never as high as Patrick Mahomes. I don't even see – I don't think he deserves more than Russell Wilson, who should be in the MVP conversation every year, and he's not.
All right.
So
I agree with that.
If you don't
we will agree there.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he wants to get paid, and we've all talked about this before. Of course he should get paid. But, look, when Zeke was out, it wasn't the same. You had that line, and a lot of people said, okay, you still had the most dominant – 3 most dominant lines in the league, if not the most dominant for the first 2 years of his existence as a starter. So, again, Jerry Jones, and it ties back to Jerry Jones. So, yes, now he wants to be supportive, this and that. Now, Ruth, to answer your question, I know we got a little bit off tangent there, but to answer the question, if some people kneel and they're coming back in for extensions next year, I guarantee you it won't be said, but that'll be the underlying thing is why they might not get as much money. But I will say this. But Dak Prescott said he'll support anybody that kneels for the flag. And what was it, Eric? I couldn't remember. Was it the player for not the Saints, but it was one of the players on one of the teams said, I'm not going to kneel. Maybe it was basketball too. We were talking about basketball, but yeah, because his brothers were in the military. He's like, but I can still support anything. I'm just not kneeling for the flag. So Jerry Jones staying down the middle. Yes, I agree. A person of his stature and power in the NFL thinks he's changed is weak. But staying down the middle actually was probably the best thing. Whoever got in his head, Eric, is actually probably the best thing that worked for Jerry Jones.
Right.
In this instance. But
all right. So I got one more Dallas Cowboys situation that we want to bring up, and then we're going to move on. The Dallas Cowboys added a big free agent, pass rusher from Minnesota. Everson Griffin has signed a 1-year, $6 million deal with the Dallas Cowboys. Eric, do you see that bringing any type of difference to the defense of the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, here's what I'll tell you about Everson Griffin. Everson Griffin is a man who goes in and does what is needed to do until he gets his bag. And then once he gets his bag, he just doesn't show up. So you got him for 1 year, $6 million. He's going to go in there and he's going to ball out. Why? Because he wants that bigger and better contract with all that money attached to it. So under those guidelines, that's why I say to you, he will be effective on the Dallas defense. But if y'all hold him and y'all give him more money, don't expect him to show up.
Mike, I got to get your take on the 4-time Pro Bowler. What do you think he's going to do for our defensive side of the ball?
Well, to Eric's point, I do, as painful it is to agree with an Eagles fan having decent insight, I teeny bit agree, Ruth. Yeah. But the thing is, don't dance too much, because when players want to get out of somewhere, and I understand, like, okay, as a free agent, it's $6 million, which again, I know people say, oh, it's nothing. Give me $6 million. I'm stoked. But that being said, right. I'm with you on that, but you can say that about all players across all sports. When it's a contract year and they're a veteran, you're going to get more. So does that benefit the Cowboys defense? Yes. When you lose a guy like Byron Jones in the secondary, now look, you can't pay everybody. And of course, it was well speculated from like week 8-9 on that Byron Jones probably was going to be the sacrificial lamb, which sucks because now he's down in Miami. But that being said, you still have a secondary that's very serviceable. I would say above in the top half of the league in secondaries. And now you get another pass rusher there with Lawrence and a defensive line that did get, I would say, a wee bit upgraded. They have a chance to be nasty. And I mean, we all know, look, the Redskins, we don't know what Dwayne Haskins can do.
The Washington football
team. Sorry, the Washington football. I know. I've done 35 push-ups already for keeping saying that. But anyway, who knows what Dwayne Haskins is going to be. I think that in and of itself is a mess down there. Defensively, again, it's going to come down to the Cowboys and Eagles. And if Griffin, Ruth, if he smacks Wentz too hard, then he'll be on the sidelines because it'll be
coming
hard.
For you, Eric.
No, but I think it will be It is a huge thing. If he has the kind of year where, say, he puts up, what would you say, Eric? So contract year, you think he could put up like 14 sacks
in a contract year? It's doable.
Would you say 4? Okay, so say he puts up 14.
He had 15 last year.
Right.
He had 15 last year. This is a contract year. I'll give him 14.
So he'll at least get 14, 15. He's not going to have more than Chandler Jones. I'll say that right now. That being said, the Cowboys probably would pay him, but to your point, I don't think it would be the kind of crazy. He's not going to be the highest paid pass rusher in the league. So can he live with it, or is he going to go walk somewhere else? But for this year, it's going to help wrap up the division, Ruth. That's what I'm talking about.
No, I agree with you. So
can we move past this now?
Yes, yes.
Now we're going 20 minutes.
Cowboys, but the Dallas Cowboys, as well as the Saints, have organized a bubble situation for training camp. Eric, I'm going to bring it to you. What do you see from this bubble situation? Do you think that the NFL is going to keep it clean with no positive virus testing? And do you see that implicating anything for the actual season?
Well, actually, also Tampa Bay, Bruce Arians, I was on a call with him today, and that was one of the questions asked about that. And they are starting to create their own bubble as well here in the Tampa Bay area. Listen, it's very simple. It comes down to everybody knowing and understanding what the rules are, what the guidelines are, what you can do, and what you can't do. And then everybody who is playing this year, who has made the decision to play, needs to fall in line with those guidelines. If you cannot follow these simple instructions, number one, you're not going to get paid. And number two, you should sit out this season and find something else to do. Because there are millions of people who have become so dependent on wanting and needing this that it has become a huge topic of discussion. And I am as guilty as the rest. I need my football. I love my basketball. I'm immersed in the WNBA, but I need my football. It's call it my drug of choice, whatever you want to call it, but I need it. So as a player who wants to get paid and who wants to play, you need to understand, here are the rules, follow them.
Mike, I want to get your take on how this bubble situation might end up being the answer to the season.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's great for training camp because usually, I mean, some teams travel, not to just bring up the Cowboys, Eric, but we all know they go to Oxnard every year. They're in California. They're not.
Yes.
So they're staying right next to the Star in, their 5-star Omni, which is right there, which is where they stay before the games, all that good stuff. That being said, I'm 100% with you. If you don't follow it, and how can Washington, the Washington football team, come out with, they're not going to have any fans. The Packers aren't going to have any fans. The Saints and Jerry Jones did put his foot in his mouth when he says, we're going to have fans. It's going to be healthy. You can't do that because if I'm another team, guess what? I'm not playing you. And the commissioner is going to laugh at him. And if they try and sue, it's still going to be, you're going to sue, but it's going to be held up by the NFL. So either you're going to forfeit your games and lose, or you're going to just go with no fans and it'll be on TV and everybody can watch it. Now, if you're the Cowboys, for that being said, I think the bubble that them and the Saints are doing, and like you said, Tampa, it's a great idea for training camp. Players just need to be there around each other, getting tested. I mean, again, come in a few days early, have some tests, 2-3 negative tests. Everybody's out there. You're going from there. But I can't. It's gonna be interesting to see if there are teams like the Cowboys that do have fans. If players start getting COVID, if I'm the NFL, then it's like, cool, you forfeit your game. Like whatever you can't play, either you're fielding a team or it's a forfeit, and that's it. And that's how it should be. Because I'm with you on that. Because baseball's done. I mean, yes, baseball's going on, but players have been reckless, as we've talked about. So I love what they're doing. I mean, if more teams can do it, but inevitably, guys, it's only going to work for training camp. I mean, they can't literally be at that facility by themselves the whole season. So
why not?
Okay, why not? Well, but they're saying, why can't they?
Why? Yeah. Why can't they? Why can't they remain at their facility and then have the visiting team or have the home team in each location designate a practice field and a hotel for the visiting team to come in. And for the season, that hotel and that practice facility will only be utilized when the visiting team is slated to show up.
No, I agree with you on that point, Eric. But what I'm saying is, can't you? You're going to say that the home team, once they get into a bubble for training camp, they need to stay there the full season. They're not going to see their families.
Why? Hey, NBA, we're asking the NBA, the WNBA to do it. Why can't we ask NFL players to do it?
Right, but I think that's why other guys opted out is because
then opt out. Then
it's too late to opt out. They can't opt out now.
Okay, well then guess what? Then here's the rules. Follow them.
Hey, I like it. I just think it's pretty tough because you're still traveling to other cities. So I understand what you're saying. Designated.
Okay, so for example, when New Orleans or Carolina or Atlanta or any of these other teams come to Tampa, we have a practice facility and we have a hotel that is designated specifically for the visiting teams, which means when Tampa is hosting home games, that's where the visiting team goes and plays. That's where they stay for that amount of time, whether it be Tuesday to Monday or whatever the case may be. And when they're gone, you go in, you clean, you sanitize, you disinfect, you do whatever you need to do, and you prepare for the next team to come in. Now, granted, there are going to be stretches where like Tampa may have 4 home games or they might have 3 road games. So at that time, you have to shut it down because you're explicitly using these 2 areas for NFL players, trainers, medical staff, and maybe a couple family members. Maybe, I don't know. But there is a way to work it.
I'm not saying I just think it's a bigger task than I just think it's a bigger task than the NBA. I'm with you. I like it. But for guys that already opted out, like you said, because they had new babies and they have family risks, everybody understands and respects that. But I just think for a whole season, they didn't run that by the players union. I'm just telling you, I don't think the players union at all is going to go for that as a united group. But I like what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, the game of football is definitely the life of football right now is definitely up in the air. And before we can even see the first kickoff, the NFL needs to get their ducks in a row and hopefully have a successful season following the NBA as well as the NHL. All right, gentlemen, we are going to wrap things up here with the NFL, and we're going to move on to the WNBA. I got Eric Wilson with Sports Arena, Michael Carotenuto out of Arizona with Believe in the Pac-12. Let's talk some basketball, and we'll start with ladies first. The WNBA has been making a splash and been having outstanding views, and more people are getting intrigued with women's basketball because, believe it or not, gentlemen, women can ball. Last night, I watched the Connecticut Suns slide past the Dallas Wings 70-66. Now, Dallas Wings is full of a lot of rookies, but they did have the lead for up until about the fourth quarter when the Connecticut Suns started raining three-point shots here and there. I want to take it to you, Eric. I know that you've been covering the Chicago Sky. What have you seen from the team that has really impressed you so far this season?
Oh, I mean, listen, the Chicago Sky, Coach Wade said it best. There is no limit to how high this team can go. That's why they're the Sky.
No ceiling.
No ceiling. # no ceiling. I have watched this team all season long. I'm very impressed with what these women are able to do. And I'm only going to talk about their on-the-court production. Off the court's on a whole nother level. It truly is. That's a whole conversation inside of itself. But when you look at this team right now, sitting there at 6-3, excuse me. And, you know, they've had some losses. That loss against Phoenix just a few days ago, Mike and I talked about it. And you know what, Mike? Again, congratulations to you. Brittany Griner, Diana Taurasi, the young lady Smith.
Skylar Diggins Smith.
They are a team that is kind of like the measuring stick in the WNBA. But when you have women like the Vanderquigs, Courtney Vandersloot and Allie Quigley, you have coming back because she was off with a bone bruise, Stephanie Dolson. And then you have my sisters in Cheyenne Parker, Kalia Copper, and Diamond DeShield. Boy, let me tell you, that is one for the ages. head coach and general manager James Wade has been able to comprise just such a cohesive, talented group of women. And I am so excited to watch them continue on this journey. They are my pick to win it all this year. I know they're going up against great names in the Washington Mystics, the defending champs. You have the Seattle Storm with Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart. But let me just tell you, Chicago Sky, hashtag no ceiling, they're winning it this year.
All right, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Eric, and we really do appreciate you covering the WNBA and giving exposure to these players that need the exposure, and they well deserve. The Dallas Wings, they have a whole lot of rookies, so it's been a very up and down thing with the Dallas Wings. Last night, their rookie Taisha Harris scored a career high 13 points, and Alicia Gray followed up with 15 points. Also for the Dallas Wings, they had Arike, I'm sorry, her pronunciation is a little tough for me, Angabawale, who was the 5th overall first-round draft pick out of Notre Dame in 2019, has become the 6th player in WNBA history that has scored over 15 points in 20 consecutive games. I want to know, Mike, what is your take on females basketball? Tell me what you think. I know you love the game of basketball, so we want to know your take.
Well, the Mercury, I mean, Eric and I joked around about this before the season started. They're the only basketball champs in the state. I mean, they've won titles. And I did say when they signed Skylar Diggins-Smith and the trades they made, and like, man, it's going to be tough, but they'll have to get used to each other. But they still have Diana Taurasi, who, of course, now is banged up and out. So we'll see how long that lasts for. But I mean, coming back last night, it was because I keep getting all the score updates. I had to set it up because I full disclosure, you guys know I'm living with the Stanley Cup playoffs. I mean, they're phenomenal. But that being said, I'm still watching hoops. I'm still staying up late watching because it's nice on the West Coast, even though it is late. I'll watch replays of games on TNT because just like during the normal season, you guys know they'll do the inside the NBA and then they play the game again. So I'm like, oh, I can watch the game now and see what happened. So. But the WNBA, I mean, the wobble, everything they've done. I mean, the Las Vegas Aces, they picked up where they left off last year in Seattle. Of course, like Eric said, we know how good they are. I mean, no Sue Bird, which sucks, but right now, because I mean, I don't know if she's coming back, but I know right now she's out. So
I mean, you have to understand these women are playing, one day on, one day.
Oh, I know, and it's insane. But here's the thing: this is what kind of gets me with them going every other day. I was going to say to you guys is that. The level, and we talked about this last week. I mean, the level, obviously, the first few games, you see people are getting rolling, but it hasn't dropped off. They're playing very well, but I'm not saying they should play one game and each have like 3-4 days off. I get that, but I think they at least go with 2 days off at this point. I mean, I know the schedule's set, but to me, that's a little ridiculous.
It's a lot.
And even on the NBA side, I mean, again, you see high things, but that and I know we'll get to that, but with minutes and stuff like that, I'm not saying, look, it's their job, and everybody understands it. Nobody's going to say, oh, well, they're tired. Again, it is tiring. They're getting the recovery. There's not really anything else for them to do. But I would just think maybe, you would like at least give somebody, 2 days off, and then okay, here's a game. But
Mike, it's like the NFL. The players and the Players Association, they didn't come up with it. They were like, listen. Right. Here's the schedule. Here's how we're rolling out with it. The players that said they were opting in, okay, they've accepted that responsibility. And Coach Wade, he says that all the time because people ask him, how are you able to persevere through all this? He's like, we just have to. We knew what this was going in.
Right. But let me ask you this real quick, because it's not like the NBA and the NHL where you're they are sprinting towards the finish because you're still starting next season. Yes, a little bit back, but at the same time, they're not in a rush. I'm not saying, again, they need to carry it out for a week and it'd be like the normal NBA playoffs where 2 teams play one day and then we don't see them for 4 more days. It's ridiculous. But they're not in a rush. I'm not saying it has to be dragged out, and I get they're all in the wobble and they want to get out. But I'm just saying, even as the season goes on, for the quality of the games, because they've been awesome. And I've watched. I mean, I've enjoyed it. But I don't want quality to suffer to sprint through when they're not really having to sprint through to get to their next season.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. But
Mike, here's another thing you have to understand. Some of these women they play overseas.
Right.
So if they are, contractually obligated to go to Russia or go to France or Spain or some of these other countries and play, that schedule hasn't changed. So in order to get a 2020 season in, this is the course of action they had to go about it. Because Coach James Wade, he travels over to Russia and he coaches a team over there with Allie Quigley and Courtney Vandersloot. So it's about the obligation. And it was, how are they going to make sure they have a season? So I think that's why we have this abbreviated season, if you will.
Right.
Because they were unable to start on time.
The COVID pandemic has definitely switched things up for a lot of leagues, and things are being played differently. But we are just all in good spirits that it's finally on television and we're back to action. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking the time to talk about ladies basketball. But let's dive in to the NBA. We have playoffs coming just right around the corner, and there's been some surprising wins and losses. Eric, I want to know your take. What do you feel with the NBA right now, and who do you see coming out in the finals?
Well, I said this back before COVID-19 hit, and I'm sticking with it. I still say it's going to be the Celtics-Lakers in the NBA Finals. I was hoping that the Orlando Magic could get that number 7 seed and have a rematch from last year's round 1 performance against the Toronto Raptors. That is not the case. They are going up against the Milwaukee Bucks. They still have Zion later on this evening coming up, so we'll see how that game plays. But again, no Aaron Gordon, no Jonathan Isaac, no MCW. Terrence Ross, I'm not sure if he's able to play. And then also Evan Fournier. So listen, Vucevic can only do so much as an all-star. DJ Augustine, as a veteran, can provide you only but so much. It is going to rely on, the Wessel Wondus of the world, the Melvin Frazier Juniors of the world, the Vic Laws of the world, those gentlemen to step up and play, because come playoff time, you don't want this to be, as our good friend and my guy, Magic Perspective co-host Alex Fleming says, you don't want this to be a death sentence.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought up the Milwaukee Bucks, because I wanted to ask your gentlemen on your take on the situation with former MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo having a confrontation with another player in their last game where he headbutted the other player and now is serving a 1-game suspension. Mike, do you think a 1-game suspension was maybe just to favor the fact that he's the MVP?
Yeah, it's Giannis. I mean, if it had been any big name person, unless it was crazy egregious, like he hockey style grabbed his jersey and headbutted him twice or did something insane, as you can see, I'm being ridiculous, but that's what it would have taken to have been more. I mean, it was a love tap. Yeah, it had a little force behind it. He wanted to sit out a game anyway, so whatever. He's gonna get his rest. I don't look at that. I just want to ask you guys. I'm looking at all these teams, and yeah, I mean, they're ready for the playoffs. The Lakers locked up, as we know, the top seed. But the only team there that's won all the games so far?
Phoenix Suns.
The Phoenix Suns and Devin Booker, who, look, everybody's gonna have their opinions.
Correct?
What's that? 7-0. Oh, they're 7. Yeah, they're going for their last one. They beat the Sixers, hung around, but they disposed of the Sixers. So that was.
What is this, Bash Philly Day? Is that what this is? Is today Bash Philly Day? Did someone not tell me?
I wish I would have known you more when AI was there, because I was all about AI, except for the fact that he didn't, after his rookie year, he never packed for road trips. He would spend money on clothes and just leave the other clothes in the room. But hey, good for AI. No, but the Sun, look. My pick, Eric's got the city right at one with LA, but it's the Clippers, because we were talking about before. They're deeper. The Clippers are going, and it's. Look. I said the Bucks because I love the way that Bledsoe was playing, and Giannis. I mean, if he has that step back 3, it's literally. I mean, Dirk was unblockable, but Giannis is a little bit longer. I mean, you can't even touch it. I mean, if Harden's 4 or 5 inches shorter, and nobody can touch his step back. You got a guy that's like 7 feet tall. So I lean towards the Bucks, but like I said, and our good buddy Jake got on board, because Eric knows this. When they went, I said the Raptors are the team nobody's talking about, and look where they're at. And look, I love what Nick Nurse did. So I'm still going with the Clippers and the Bucks, but selfishly, I'd love to see the Raptors get there.
So I'm glad that you brought up my LA Clippers, because last night it was a showdown between the number 2 and the number 3 seed. We have the LA Clippers in number 2 and Denver in number 3. And the Clippers came out in double-digit wins. Do you think that has any correspondence with the Lakers barely beating the Denver Nuggets the other night with Kuzma's buzzer beater?
I mean,
does this speak volumes to you, Mike?
Well, I thought the Clippers. Well, and I say it with this caveat: if the season wouldn't have been paused, but with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard getting on the floor together and what they can do defensively with their length and their depth, I don't view it as. To me, I think that the Lakers fall short. What Kuzma did, if he steps up, it helps, but I just think they fall short. But no, I mean, the Clippers, Paul George. Look, if dude was kind of starting to be mentioned for MVP before the shutdown, because Eric and I think we're talking about this. He was mentioned for MVP before the shutdown. The way he played starting in the bubble, and if Kawhi getting healthy, man, I just don't see a team in the West. Although I do not want to be. If I'm the Clippers, though, I'm happy the Lakers are the number 1 seed, because chances are the play-in game, or little scenario, is going to be between Phoenix and Portland. I unfortunately am giving the advantage to Portland because the Suns haven't had a play. Yeah, I mean, CJ McCollum, Lillard, but Nurkic is healthy too, and that's what opens McCollum. And not that Lillard can't obviously create his own shots, but with Nurkic, look, the Suns will give him a fight. They've been a phenomenal story, and if they go 8-0, a team that shouldn't have. I told you first, Eric, I'm like, it's a waste of time. And of course, I'm happy to be eating the grilled crow, because even if they go 7-1, still the best record in the bubble, and that's huge for them going into next season. But the play-in will be. But I don't want to be the 8 seed. I agree actually with Charles Barkley on this. I don't want to be the 1 seed playing Portland. I'm sorry,
Eric, I want to get your take on this. So the Clippers defeat the number 3 seed easily without Montrezl Harrell. Are you a little worried for your LA Lakers?
Not at all. And let me be very clear about this. Boston, Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA Finals. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't get it twisted. We are talking about the fact that one of the top 3 players in the entire NBA has just been doing whatever he wants to during these 8 scrimmage games, because that's all they've been. That's all they are for LeBron. They've been scrimmage games. All they have been has been an opportunity for him to get back to playing at such a level that is the greatness of number 23 LeBron James. Now we get to see the LeBron James that everybody knows and loves, a guy who could take over a game at any given moment. So whether it's Phoenix, who I think is deserving of that number 8 spot, or guess what? Hey, y'all can't see it, but y'all know what time it is. Dame time.
Yeah. No.
Portland, Dame and Lillard, Dame and CJ McCullough. Yeah, that is a matchup that I want to see, because I'm telling you right now, if Portland and Los Angeles are the 1-8, that is going to be such a classic matchup for a first-round NBA playoffs. I am going to be glued to the television or watching the replay, because I got to focus on my Chicago Sky. But Mike, I show love to your Phoenix Suns if they get in, but if they get in, it's going to be 5 games, maybe 6.
The thing with this, real quick, the thing with the Suns is, look, they'll get up and down the court. They do. I mean, at least DeAndre Ayton, I will say this, athletically can bang around with Anthony Davis. I'm not sitting here on your show saying he's better. I'm just saying he's athletic. He can bang around with Anthony Davis. Book is like Lillard. I mean, he can hit from 30 feet out too. So, I mean, Ricky Rubio, though, I will say this. He hasn't gotten it because with the season being shortened, all off season, for 2 years, they needed a point guard. They need a point guard. Devin Booker finally gets taken off the point, and you see what Ricky Rubio means. He doesn't have to score a ton of points, but he's a facilitator. He's getting rebounds. But I'm telling you right now, I would pick Portland to upset the Lakers.
Yeah.
And the 2-7 series, but the 2-7 series, real quick, guys, between the Lakers and the Mavericks.
You mean the Clippers?
The Clippers and the Mavericks. Yeah. If I'm the Clipper, I mean, Doncic is going to get his points, but I'm telling you right now,
don't sleep on Luka. Because I'm gonna tell you right now,
Right.
Luka and Porzingis.
But I will tell
Against
you, in
the
wrapping
Clippers?
up my point, exactly. No, but in wrapping up my point, but the Clippers are too deep. But I still would love to see the number 5 Houston Rockets run everybody up and down the court and win it all. That would be awesome.
That would be amazing. And the playoffs.
Because for a cheap plug, it would really help my belief in Pac-12 basketball because I'd have 2 Pac-12 champs, obviously Sun Devil James Harden and UCLA Bruin Russell Westbrook to get on the show after they boat everybody up and down the court.
Oh, speaking of Russell Westbrook, he's going to be out for injury probably in the first round of the playoffs. So this is what the NBA playoff first round matchups are looking like. So for the Western Conference, we have the Los Angeles Lakers against to be determined. We're hoping that it's going to be Portland, but we have Phoenix, San Antonio, and Memphis all in the race for that position. Then we have the OKC Thunder and the Rockets facing off. Then we have the Denver Nuggets and the Utah Jazz. Following that, we have the Los Angeles Clippers and the Dallas Mavericks, which will be a great matchup. I cannot wait for that. In the Eastern Conference, we have the Bucks and the Magic in the first round. We kind of all know where that's headed.
Not so fast. Not so fast. Not so fast.
Forgive
I'm
me.
gonna tell you this right now. Okay. I asked James Ennis this question yesterday after shoot around. James Ennis, when he was in Philadelphia, made a comment and said that the Philadelphia 76ers were walking into the Eastern Conference Finals. That's how confident he was of that team. So I asked him yesterday, I said, James, before you got to Orlando, you made a tweet. I said, hypothetical situation. You upset the Milwaukee Bucks. I said, are the Orlando Magic walking into the Eastern Conference Final? This is what that man said to me. He said, you know what? When we are at our best, we can beat anybody. I understand Jonathan Isaac's not playing, but if all the players that I mentioned previously, Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier, Terrence Ross, Michael Carter-Williams, if they're all back and they are all in sync, Milwaukee better be prepared. That's all I'm saying. Don't sleep on the Magic. That's what I'm telling you.
Thanks, Eric. So we will not be sleeping on the Orlando Magic. Second matchup, we got the Miami Heat and the Pacers. Then we have the Celtics, 76ers, the Raptors, and the Nets. So the playoff season is finally here, and we could not be so excited. We cannot be more excited for the playoffs to be coming up. We're going to wrap up things here with the Sports Arena. Thank you so much, Eric Wilson, for letting me take the reins tonight. And Michael Carotenuto out of Arizona with Believe in the Pac-12. Make sure you guys are checking him out, as well as me for Set the Sails going live on Mondays. Really appreciate your guys' time and enjoy the rest of your night.